Hey guys, for those who don't know me out there, my name is Miriam. I am a specialized consultant here at Darwin, specializing in placing highly Java professionals. And I'm organizing this webinar for you guys because I was very curious. I was seeing a lot of different things in my research. I actually come from a background of fashion and e-commerce, and I saw this thing trending named Kotlin in the high availability platforms, and I was very interested in it more for myself, but also for my network. And I started talking and doing more research, and I actually saw a lot of buzz surrounding it, a lot of reviews, a lot of different opinions on Java versus Kotlin. Some saying Kotlin is the newer, younger version of Java. And I wanted to know more about it. I wanted to organize a discussion within my network. So here we are today. Well, enough about me. I would like to give the opportunity to introduce my panel. First of all, I'd like to start with let me see, with Vladimir. Can you introduce yourself?
Okay, thank you for having me. So my name is Vladimir Djanovic, and I'm part of IT scene since 2006. And over the years, I worked on all kind of projects, developed program in all software in all kind of programming languages. So whatever you basically been there, done that, so to say. Beside that, I'm founder and leader of Amsterdam Java user group. Beside that, I give talks at conferences and about the technical stuff and like way of working and all those kind of things. And I got like Java 1 Rockstar and Code 1 Star, so it looks like my talks are not that bad. I would say that's like very short, hurry overview of me. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Vladimir. Marcel, can you give a short introduction about yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Mart van der Brink. I'm a web developer over 20 years already, so I'm a kind of an old guy. I've been using in the past. I've been using a lot of different languages, and lately mostly I've been using Java. And currently, I'm working at a company called BVA Auctions, and it's an online auctioning company. And we specialize in online auctions, so we sell almost everything you can imagine. So we're selling airplanes, race cars, computers, mobile phones, scrap metal, you name it, we sell it. Most things we sell are coming from bankruptcies or overstock, but also voluntary sales. So it's kind of an e-commerce platform, and we do that throughout Europe. I've been an employee for BVA Auctions for around 3 years already, but I've been working on the project for around 9 years. So first I've done it as a project within an internet agency, and later on I moved to in-house development at BVA Auctions. Half a year ago there was an interesting thing going on because there was one competitor in Europe, which was a big one, and the company merged together with that competitor. And then, we were using Java, they were using C#, and then the whole discussion started, which stack are we going to use? And well, in the end, we decided to move to Kotlin. And in the meantime, also changing the monolithic applications to microservices. So we're changing a lot of stuff. And because I knew a lot about the platform for BVA Auctions, I was kind of moved into an architect role, kind of guiding the way the platform should go to. So that's mainly what I'm doing right now. So interesting times for us.
Cool, definitely. Thank you, Marcel. Well, Louis, can you give a introduction about yourself?
First of all, it's Louis, not Louis, but that's okay.
Louis. I say it always the French way.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, I'm a computer science engineer for almost 10 years. My background is in Java mostly. I had a company back then in 2007 in Portugal that, well, mostly was about small websites based on CMS, PHP, CMS, PHP, CMS, and MySQL. But mostly I've been developing in Java. I come from Lisbon. I'm here in Holland for 6 years, and I've been working on the UVA, the university, which I'm moving from in the 1st of March to Randstad. I think everybody knows that company. It's a recruitment company and human resources. And yeah, I'm here to talk about Java as much as I know and here to help and discuss. So that's it from me.
Cool. Thanks, Luis. Thank you. Well, Kamal, can you give a brief introduction about yourself as well?
Sure. Hi, I'm Kemal. I'm a computer engineer, and I have been working for around 20 years or so. And currently, I work at bol.com, which is the biggest online retailer of Netherlands and Belgium. And I've been working for in different positions as a developer, as related to databases, and with too many different languages. Around 1.5 years back, I started to learn about Kotlin a little bit. Then I was really enthusiastic about it. I loved it, and then as a team, we decided to try it, and it turned out to be really a good trial. So we kept converting from Java to Kotlin. Since then, we have been converting still. So yeah, now I am here to tell about the stuff we have done and the things we like. Yeah, this is short.
Cool. Thanks. Well, yeah, thank you guys. Well, let's just get started. Actually, I want to come back to what Marcel said and divert the first question. Marcel, do you believe that Kotlin is a modern day version of Java?
To make it short, yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, it's just that the language is just like when you look at an application's architecture. It started out with something very nice and small, and slowly grows into something bigger. And with an application, it kind of grows into what used to grow into a monolith. And then during development, you notice that things are going slow, and it's hard to make changes, and you get some new ideas, and then suddenly you see some old idea popping up again, but now named microservices. And but yeah, it's very hard to move your current application into something new, into a new architecture. Well, you could say, well, the same goes for Java. It started out very nice, and then it grew, and people started using it more and more, and developers get a certain idea of what a language should do, and you get some new insights, and you actually notice things that should be in the language that are not. And but changing the language itself is not that easy, so it will take years to grow a language into something else. And yeah, and then you see things popping up like Clojure, Scala, Kotlin, things like that. And well, one of the things that's very nice is that Kotlin is it looks a bit like it's Java the way it will be in a couple of years. So I think that people kind of compare it constantly with Scala, because it's the kind of the same principles behind it, but Scala is a lot more difficult to get into your current stack, for instance. While if you have Kotlin and Java, they work pretty nicely together, and you can easily switch them. While if you're using Scala, then it's not that easy to just plug it into your current monolith and just get started with the new language and experience that already. So I think that it is really the people at JetBrains, the creators of Kotlin, really looked at, okay, what Scala is not exactly the way that we want it to be, and they taken some bits and pieces from different languages, also from C#, for instance. If you look at the way you work with it, it's pretty similar to C#. So they added it to that language and made it very easy for developers to especially if you're going to use their own IDE, of course, and it's pretty easy to just convert your Java file into Kotlin and the other way around. And yeah, for developers, it is pretty easy to learn, and yeah, it's really the way that they listen to the developers. Like, okay, well, Scala is too difficult, and people only the real pure functional programmers actually stayed around, and well, the people from JetBrains, yeah, they listen to developers, they change the things that they do not like and make it into something nicer, and that's exactly what you want from Java. But because because it's so hard for them to just change everything, it's easier to start a new language, and that's exactly what they did with Kotlin. They started a new language which is taking the best from all worlds and just making it easier. And I think that's the main advantage of Kotlin over Java. And yeah, if you compare it, it's just modern, just the way that developers want to have it now.
And yeah, thank you, Marcel. First of all, do you agree with that notion, Kamal? So yeah, you've also taken the road to convert to Kotlin, I believe.
Yeah, that's correct. I must agree with Marcel. First of all, as he said, JetBrains decided to do a good language for developers, not like just we want to do a language like I don't know, just for some universities, some institutes. So they really wanted to make a language which will work for developers. And if I want to summarize Kotlin philosophy with one word, I think it's pragmatism. So people that working with developing Kotlin are trying to really make pragmatic decisions while not breaking the real architecture around Kotlin. And as a result, you have a way better readable code and way better maintainable code. I think these are the most important things while working with the language. Otherwise, you develop something, but development is never stopping, never ending work. So each time, every day, every week, every month, you need to either fix something or add new features. Therefore, one-time writing is totally not enough, and you need to have a good maintenance abilities. This is what Kotlin supplies because it's really readable and easy to write and easy to read, easy to maintain. It becomes like the language to go, at least till for me, as far as I experienced it. So, in a short, yes, I think Kotlin is kind of the next modern level technology similar to Java, and actually Java is trying to follow the trend. With after Java 8, we see this trend, and previously Java was publishing every 3 years, as far as I remember. Now they are publishing new Java versions every 6 months, which shows that Java is following the trend. And I don't know. I don't think they will catch up, but at least it's a good sign for the whole software platform for all the developers. Yeah,
I agree with you on that one. I think everyone is following each other, of course, because that's trends, looking at each other and see how we can learn from it. Let's move on to the second question. Vladimir, can you name another question from the viewers? Can you name what Java has that Kotlin does not?
Where should I start? The fact that it's like proven over and over again, and like in that over like its course of life, which like almost 20 years old, many came and said they're going to kill the Java, and they still didn't. So I think that Kotlin is still like new kids on the block. And once actually the more traction is actually start to get, more people actually start using it in the real life and for a longer period of time, then they are going to probably find out that although it's shiny and nice, it also has problems like everything else. And then we'll see how it actually goes. And that's basically one thing that Java proven over years, that you can always rely on it, that you can always basically go to the next level without problems. So I think that that's one of the biggest things. The other thing, of course, is because it is older language, amount of libraries, frameworks, communities, tools, and knowledge is like ridiculously big. Nobody almost know. I would say that very few languages can actually even like try to touch it. Again, if you think about the majority of the code that we are actually looking today, working today, is more or less in one or other way legacy. There are like not that many new shiny things which are like greenfield projects, and again, majority of them are Java, and it's like again, it's proven. So again, you can't really throw those kind of things away because they add real value to the end users. So you need to bring it to the next level. So I would say, like in a nutshell, they're like the highest level of the things that basically Java has compared to Kotlin. Because again, like just with the libraries and the frameworks, wherever you want to build or wherever you want to do in Java, there's already a tool out there. I would say that's about it in a high level.
Cool. Thanks. Well, how? Yeah. What is actually your opinion about it, Louis? Luis?
Unmute.
Yeah, unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with Vladimir. And yeah, whenever you need to build something, either a big complex project or a small project, Java has all the tooling. And for instance, CMSs that are based on Java, they're out there. There's like, well, hundreds of it. And yeah, Java has a complete ecosystem that is already established. Furthermore, it's been used for years, even decades, and it's getting better and better. And it's also a problem of legacy. So if you have legacy systems, it's very hard to just replace a new technology for that. And that takes time because technologies advance much further than the systems itself. And but one of the advantages that Java has, I think, in terms of compared to Kotlin, I never programmed in Kotlin, so I really don't know. I've just been reading. Is that it's a bit faster than Kotlin. So I'm not sure if when you are doing something in Kotlin, you are transpiling code, or you doing directly to bytecode. But I heard that Java code executes faster than Kotlin, and that's one of the big advantages as well as legacy that Java has against Kotlin, in my opinion.
Cool. Maybe we can jump in it in reverse. Kamal, what do you think that Kotlin has that Java doesn't?
Well, Kotlin, yeah, it's like everybody said, it's just to ease the pain of programmers, of developers. And it's a much more elegant way of producing code, and also much more maintainable, since you need much less lines of code to produce the same application as in Java. So yeah, I just read about it. I never used, but I think I'm becoming a huge fan of it, of Kotlin, because it's what all the developers want, to don't have to write lots of boiler codes, classes. And for instance, if you want to create a plain object, you don't have to create all the boiler code that Java implies, and you can just do it with the data class in Kotlin, and several other aspects, just like coroutines. I heard about coroutines long time ago, I think when I was learning Lisp in college, and only now I see a language, a language using it, and it's very good because it's way better than threading. But well, I think both have room to coexist with each other, and they are interoperable between each other. But Kotlin is a much advanced way and more elegant and much better for developers to actually build applications. So yeah, if I could use Kotlin instead of Java, I would.
Cool.
That's good to hear.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Can you add this, Kamal?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I agree with Vladimir that Java is a proven technology and it has lots of libraries. But as I already mentioned, Kotlin is really pragmatic. So they already thought about it. So Kotlin is very good in interoperation with Java. So whichever library you have in Java, you can use in Kotlin, and you don't need to have a whole Kotlin code base. You can have, I don't know, half of your code in Java, half of your code in Kotlin, because Kotlin is a JVM language. Therefore, it's not a, how to say, yeah, big thing to use Java libraries, and which is actually the same. How you use in Java will be the same you use in Kotlin regarding the libraries. And if I check the advantages of Kotlin, for me, maybe one of the most important thing is null safety. Maybe you heard Miriam, maybe not, but even the inventor of null told that this is a billion dollar mistake. So this was a $1 billion mistake made in the whole software era, because it made all kind of troubles, and I don't think any developer can run out of it, can escape from null pointer exceptions. I mean, whoever you ask, you will hear that they saw it, they heard of it, they I don't know, had some issues with it. So Kotlin make null safety first class citizen, which is really nice. So if something is either nullable or not nullable, and the default is not nullable, so it's a little bit technical, but yeah, we are speaking about languages, sorry. So I think this is one of the very big improvements over Java. Next, I can tell about extension functions. In Kotlin, you can write extension functions on whichever class you want, which is not possible in Java. So, for example, we write extension function. We use big decimal too much because we are writing a financial system. It's not that good to use double or those kind of things. So we use big decimal. But in Java, using big decimal is really painful, because you can't use plus sign, minus sign, equals sign, those kind of things. But in Kotlin, you can do this with extension functions plus operator overloading. So actually, I mentioned 2 in 1. So both extension functions and operator overloading. Yeah, this makes our life really easy, except for writing, I don't know, some amount dot plus, then another amount. You just write amount plus with a sign plus the other amount, so which is really handy for us. What else quickly I can mention? Yeah, actually, already Luis mentioned about data classes, so I skipped that one. And maybe one more thing, the last one maybe for now, type inference. In Java, even if you write name equal to some string, some text, name equals to John, you need to mention that it's a string. But in Kotlin, you don't need to do it, because Kotlin understands that it's a string, and just you don't need to mention one more time it's string. And it applies to function returns, and it applies to wherever it can find it. It makes type inferences. So yeah, these are some most important things in Kotlin over Java.
Java has that.
Yeah, Java, exactly. Java 10 actually already introduced that one, but still not as good as how it is in Kotlin. So, which is, as I just mentioned, which is good that Java is following the trend. really nice. So yeah, still there are ways to improve for Java, at least for this type inference, and yeah, for now at
Well,
least that's it.
maybe a good introduction to the next question. Yeah, yeah. Let me start with Kamal. You were already saying a little bit in that direction. Do you think Kotlin will replace Java?
Oh, this is a hard question. I don't think Kotlin will replace Java. So I think they are not. Java is not replaceable. Even if it starts to replace now, it will take maybe 20 years. So it's not that easy to replace Java. But I kind of see that there will be some fight between Java and Kotlin, maybe soon, because now Kotlin is Kotlin native, which is not like Java. It's something. Yeah. Still, you write in the same syntax, but yeah. So I don't think it will replace, but it will be maybe as strong as Java, because or you can think like C# versus Java. I don't think Java will end, but Kotlin will be really improving in time, way faster, and most probably Java will decline a little bit. But I don't think Java will die.
Never.
Yeah, yeah. I've been seeing it a
At least
lot,
not in
reading it
20
a
years.
lot. What do you think about it, Vladimir? Do you think it will die, Java?
Well, everything can die, but I don't see it coming because, to be honest with you, like I said, like over the years, a lot of languages came and said we're going to basically kill the Java, be the killer of the Java, and in the end, Java always evolved. Okay, I agree. Like it wasn't evolving very fast for a long period of time. Also, like the fact that it was bought by Oracle didn't help at the beginning, but then now it's like all the dust is settled, and now they're a much faster release train. And again, one thing that actually why I mentioned that while people are actually going to find things which they don't like with the Kotlin is because again Java was there for a long time and they have basically the whole way how they're developing the programming language and with the JCPs and JSRs and all these kind of things, and basically they're making sure that they're not going to break something in the past, but also that actually not going to shoot themselves in the foot in the future. And a lot of languages which started very strong actually made mistakes somewhere along the way, and then in the future actually it was proven to be wrong. But again, one thing that I hear over and over again that people are mentioning about the Kotlin and some other languages is they say, oh, yeah, it's much, much better because I write much less amount of code and because it's much more precise and things like that. And I would just like to mention that people should be aware of that can be a double-edged sword. Because from one side, you might think, okay, it's perfect, it's great, it's very concise, it's very precise. However, people always forget one very important thing, that in our industry, people spend roughly about 10% of the time writing code and 90% of the time reading the code. And then all the magics and all the overloads and basically all the crazy stuff that can happen automatically can add a lot of complexity to you actually reading the code. And funny enough, like last week, I was talking with one guy who's really like big Kotlin fan, and he even like pushed inside his company for a new project to be running Kotlin. And he said, like, I just realized today that I write code faster, but I read code like 5 times slower. And I need to really think very hard when I actually read the code, what I'm reading from somebody else, because if I just don't pay a lot of attention, then it's going to basically come back and bite me. So then again comes back to the question, okay, like, what's better, having more boilerplate code and writing more code, but be easier to read, or basically, hide a lot of things basically in some magic and then have less code to write, but also having like to be much more complex in reading the code. And I don't know what one is better. I think it's also like come back to the personal preferences. So, but again, like I don't really think that Java is going anytime soon, because there are a ridiculous amount of projects with a lot of a lot of people working on it, a lot of businesses depend on it, and even like so yeah, I don't see anything coming anytime soon and basically saying to Java, okay, like you're that. I don't think that Kotlin is also going away anyway, because again, if you look about it, that's one thing which I really like about the whole JVM ecosystems, that all the languages they came, basically they are still there. They're still contributing to one another. They're adding values, and you can very easily like combine Groovy and Scala and Clojure and Java and Kotlin, just do the parts of the system that you actually want to do. And it's very often that basically if you're really working on some big projects, in the same project you're going to have bits and pieces of everything. Maybe not really write the code, but for example, for testing, Gatling is a very good thing. It's written in Scala. Then you also have like Spock in Groovy for testing. So it's like, you can actually have on the same project multiple languages for doing the different parts of the system. So, and I really don't see like, Kotlin versus Java, one need to kill another. I think that, everybody just needs to add value and basically just make our life easier and help us produce the better code.
Great, good. Well, I want to actually.
Sorry, Miriam,
yeah.
I want to just mention about readability, but
Yeah.
I really didn't understand why people think that Kotlin code is less readable, and Kotlin itself doesn't make that huge magic. Actually, I don't like magic in software development. For
Yeah.
example, data classes, I think it makes data classes are really great, and it makes it reading way easier than how it is in Java. For example, you don't need to write get blah blah method, set blah blah method, and you don't.
You have Lombok, which you just said one notation.
Yeah.
You do the same thing in Java. So
That's correct. You have Lombok, but I am.
if you go on a higher, so if you go basically behind those like simple thing, then it comes a lot of other things. Again, like not my words, but I know what basically when I look at Scala again, a lot of things are happening. But then you really need to think, okay, this goes there, this goes there, this goes there, and then basically you need to think more. So again, depends for personal preferences.
I totally prefer to have readable. The more readable the code, the better. So for me, no discussion about it. So and I think Kotlin code is way more readable than Java code because as I with data classes, you don't have to write anything. And like Lombok library, which is still a good library, and there's another, as far as I know, immutables library, something like that for Java, is doing some similar code. But in the end, Kotlin natively supports this, and plus it supports, for example, named parameters, so that, for example, if you have a method which gets a Boolean, you just run a method and send there false, but you don't know what that method will do with that false. But if you at least can see the parameters name there, it makes sense, and then you understand, okay, this Boolean this false means this. And if you use any language in a wrong direction, you can end up with a boilerplate code still. So even if you use Kotlin or if you use the best language, I don't know which one, but you can still have boilerplate code. But for me, if language is decreasing that boilerplate code, then it's adding value. And Kotlin is trying to do that, and I think they are doing their job really well. So yeah, these are my 2 cents about it.
Well, it's actually a good introduction to one of the last questions. Was quite a long question from one of the viewers. I'm trying to formulate it as clear as I can. Let me see. What are the topics to be considered to decide which language is optimal for backend development? So it was a little bit also the topic of this discussion, like Java versus Kotlin. What can you base upon, like exactly what you guys were talking about on writing the best code? Like what do you have to look at? Let me start with Luis.
Well, I think for backend development, it's really important to have a maintainable code, and I think Kotlin does a better job than Java on that. But well, there are other aspects, like to have a scalable application. And I know that Java does a good job on scalability, except if it's a really big project. And if you want to scale to, for instance, a multiprocessor machine, it can block threads and so on and produce deadlocks. But in general, it's good in scalability. I'm not sure about Kotlin. Other stuff that our colleague was saying, the magic that happens behind. I was checking Cater, which is a framework that is used for backend development on Kotlin. And there's a lot of magic there. I don't know at which point we can track and debug and see if the features that are added there are actually working, and to check the state of it. I have my doubts over that. If perhaps someone can just come up with that answer to me, because it's not clear for me.
Marcel, what do you think about that? Like, what are the best ways to look at or base your choice upon for backend development, being that Java or Kotlin or a combination? What makes strong backend development?
I don't think that the actual question is which language would you choose. It would be more like what is your team capable of? What do they actually want? Because in my experience, it isn't really about how you write something, but more the people behind it. They need to maintain it. They need to understand it. They need to, they just need to build upon it, and that only really works if you have a motivated team. If you're working on you can create a great application in, for instance, let's call C#, goes for Java developers, and if you say to an entire team, well, C# is the way to go, you need to do it in C#, then people will kind of feel like, okay, well, I'm not going to do this, I don't want to do this, and the magic doesn't happen. If you have the ability to let a team decide which language they would use or language they want to use, and also support them, I think that is way more important than the actual language you're choosing. Yeah, of course, you have things like you have to take into account, like how big is the community behind it, and if you have an issue with your framework, for instance, or your library, can you get enough information to actually fix it, or is it always up to you, or do you need to depend on a third party which is slow in updates? Or so there's a lot more to it than just saying, well, choose this language or choose that language. It's you need to look at the entire thing. And yeah, that's my opinion, at least. I think that the main thing is the motivation of the team.
I must say I'm not very technical, but I think that would apply, my own opinion. I think that would apply to any sector, any company. If the team is motivated, you'll get a successful result. The synergy effect. What do you think about it, Kamal?
Yeah, as you said, it applies nearly to all of the sectors, and including development. So if the team is dedicated to a language, it's really hard to change that language, even if there are some way better languages. Or then you force the team and it won't work out. But if the team is enthusiastic to learn something different, something new, try something else, and there is enough budget, then you can compare which language supplies what. And in that manner, I think the most important thing is, one, community support, and whenever you search something, you hit to a problem, will you find the solution? And the second will be, are you able to write really maintainable, really readable code? On which language can you write more maintainable and more readable code? I think these would be the choices for me, the questions for me while choosing a language.
Cool. Vladimir, do you have anything to add to it in terms of how to base smart choices in backend development?
Well, of course, the first and the most important thing is basically, okay, what is the problem that you're trying to solve? And then basically, okay, go from there. Then they actually can, because let's be honest, in the end, the languages, the frameworks, and all these kind of things, they're just tools for us. And they should be just tools for every good engineer. Like, good engineers shouldn't really care that much this or that language. So certain languages are better for solving some problems. Some other have better frameworks and supports for some others. So you first of all need to think, okay, like what is the problem we need to solve, and then of course the second thing is, okay, who is going to actually write that code? Like, do we have the people who have the knowledge and the skill set for that, or can we actually, coach them to get that knowledge? But again, in the end, it also comes back, okay, who's going to maintain that language or that product? Because it, again, when you just develop it, that's just the beginning of the whole life cycle of the whole product. It's basically after that you need to patch it, to update it, to maintain it, to do all kind of work. And then, in that case, if you select something that you can find only like handful of people in the world to do it, then like you're doing it wrong. So again, I would say that most important thing always, okay, what is the problem that you're trying to solve? What are the tools out there that actually has good support for the problem that you have in the hand, and of course that matches good with the skill set of your people and the people that you are going to have afterwards. And of course then comes, in some big companies also like the policies about your security, about this or about that, and then sometimes there is the choices that you have are much more limited. So it's like I said, it's not always greenfield projects where you can say, okay, like, yeah, I'm just going to take this and do everything that I want to do.
Yeah, a little bit of a plan of action, eh? The what, why, how, when are we going to do it? Yeah, I agree on that. Let me see. I must say, I saw a last special question. I didn't know much about it, but maybe one of you guys can help me. The last question is, do you expect the Java project Loom to be a decent alternative for Kotlin? So basically, there's a new project coming in Java that's called Loom, and they are comparing it to Kotlin. Have anyone of you heard about it? This project?
Well, the Loom is basically for the fibers. So the whole idea is, again, like I said, that's the good thing about the Java language, because you have the whole committees and everything thinking about the long-term vision of the Java, where the Java needs to go. So there's like Panama project, Valhalla project, basically all of them actually are going to add huge value to the Java once, of course, they come along. And also that's one of the reasons why they actually started going with a 6 months release project cycle, because in the past, the old versions of the Java were always waiting for some new feature, big feature, and then all the smaller features were like put aside. And Valhalla is with the fibers, is basically they call it like light threads. And basically they should increase performance of the Java like significantly with like, very little overhead. So it's going to be like a virtual threads, which are just going to be popping up very fast and doing like, so you're going to allow you to speed up the process of everything in Java ridiculously high. As far as I know, it's still not, I think it's like 6 or maybe even 1 year from now, it's going to become final. So it's like they're still doing development work. It's still like in early adoption phase. It's still things can change, but it's really looking promising very much, and it's looking so far. It's looking perfect. So we'll see how it's going to look like when it becomes final. I'm not really, I'm not really like expert with the Kotlin and coroutines. So I know some things about Kotlin, but not on coroutines. I'm not really that expert. So I can't say how they compare one to another. But
does anyone have something to add to Vladimir? Everybody else heard about this project Looms?
Yeah, I just read about it, but I don't know anyone who used it. And actually, Vladimir already mentioned that it's not live already, and I think it's a little bit responding to Kotlin coroutines. And Kotlin coroutines are now from 1.3 version of Kotlin, recently published, I think 2 months ago or something like that. They are publicly available, generally available, the Kotlin coroutines, and which are really way faster way to use threads, multi-threaded programming in Kotlin. And Java is trying to find a counterparty in their language. And I think it will be helpful, but yeah, it's a little bit late already. And I don't think it will be a deal breaker. I mean, I don't think it's a deal breaker for choosing between languages.
Yeah, a little bit of a conclusion is that what I've what I've learned, so to say, today is it's not that one language is better than the other or that you have to choose. It's actually stronger to have diversity and look at the team, what the problem is, what the direction is, and yeah, moving from there and learning from there and going with the trends. Yeah, am I summing up really good now?
The trends are not really well. You can have good trends such as Kotlin, but I think the most important thing is the know-how that you have in your team and the motivations that they have to choose one on another language. So if they want to learn something new, as in my team, for instance, I would love to learn Kotlin. So I would, in my next project, I would go for Kotlin. But if the team is a bit more conservative, yeah, they should remain to Java. But yeah, there's lots of stuff trending, but not always trending stuff is well the best solution, I would say.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree. If the team wants to learn something new, yeah, then for me at least, I would just go for Kotlin. And 1.5 years back when we started in the team, no one knew about Kotlin. I mean, of course we heard, but no one knew how to use Kotlin. And then we started to use it. Everyone started to love it. And then even when we tried to find someone new in the team, it helped us. I mean, Kotlin, because there were some new, excited people, and they wanted to join our team. One big plus was using Kotlin. So it not just helped developing, it helped on our way of working too.
Yeah, that's a bit the same as happened with us when we had the merge, of course, of two companies. So one stack C#, the other one in Kotlin, other one in Java, and it's they're total opposites of each other. And one thing we really wanted to do was create things in a language that everybody would embrace. So we were not really bound to Java and thought, well, Kotlin, we heard a lot about it. There were some people reading about it, but nobody actually had experience with it. And we just said, okay, well, we're going to go full for Kotlin. Also because it is quite similar to C#, so we can also tempt the C# developers into looking into Kotlin, which makes it a lot easier instead of just saying, okay, we're all going to do C#, we're all going to do Java, because then you get a lot of unhappy people, and that doesn't help anything. So we also started out with, we kind of want to create a new platform. So we kind of have a greenfield, but not really greenfield because we have two running platforms as well. And then we said, well, we're going to do that entirely in Kotlin. And people were just telling about what they learned and helping each other and just really looking forward into developing in a new language. And then there was, of course, the thing that we also need to keep the current platforms up and running. So you need to be able to just build upon the Java program as well. So we kind of got scared, like, okay, well, then we're going to have a small group who's going to do maintenance on our current platform, and they will get they're going to miss a lot of knowledge. And then we made the decision, okay, well, if you're going to change something on the current platform, because Kotlin is it can work with Java seamlessly, you can also add some stuff in Kotlin. So now we're running a mixed Java Kotlin program in production, which is working great for us. And people are learning they're getting experience with it. So it's easier for them to create new services in Kotlin as well. For us, it's really, really helpful.
Cool. Thanks, Marcel. Thank you. Oh, guys. Well, I want to actually finish the meeting and thank you all for your time and your efforts. And I hope you guys learned from each other, sharing knowledges, also extending your networks, of course, with each other. And yeah, let's hope that we learn more things in the future. And yeah, see you guys soon.
Thank you very much for arranging, Miriam.
Yeah, thank
Yes.
you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. See you guys.
You. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.